And this is going to be an amazing night, so buckle in, folks. Lisa has an amazing testimony, and I'm just really excited to hear it. I've not even heard it all, and so this is going to be a great night. So welcome, Lisa.
Thank you.
And I know, like I said, you have an amazing testimony. Where would you like to start?
So I actually brought a picture, and it's a cross on a hill, so it's very monumental to my story, so you can just kind of remember that from the beginning to the end. So when I was about 12 years old, I attended a Christian horse camp, actually Marmon Valley, which isn't too far from here.
Oh, that's sweet. That's a good place. Yeah.
And I just remember being up on a hill on a campfire, and there was a cross just up there, and it was the first time I actually accepted Jesus into my heart and as my Lord and Savior.
That's amazing.
And I remember just being consumed at that moment and just felt so much love and peace. Right about the time when I was 14, I started to experiment with drugs, and it kind of progressed until the age of about 22, 23. Got into some heavy stuff. Run-ins with the law.
Wait, 1 second. What can you define heavy stuff?
You name it: opioids, heroin, crack, probably about anything I could get my hands on. But the worst was about 90 pounds, soaking wet, just kind of very, very gaunt looking.
Okay, so the drug use had really affected your life, and it had really changed you physically.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
At the turning point of about 23, I just had become homeless. I didn't have a job. I lost my relationship with my family, my twin sister. So very, very hard time for her to watch me go through that, and thinking that she was gonna eventually lose me to streets, or harming myself. So some run-ins with the law, and I just remember at one point I was trying to get sober, I was trying to get clean. I tried everything, it just didn't work. And I just remember silently crying out, Jesus, I need help. I just can't do this. And I remember little tidbits.
What happened that made you call out to him? What was the catalyst that made you go, wow, I need you, Lord?
I think it was just the hopelessness I felt. Like I just didn't know where to begin, where to start. It's like after years and years of harming yourself and harming others, not going to school, not having a job, you just kind of are just at the bottom.
Had you ever attempted suicide or
no,
or hurt yourself that way?
I think honestly it got to a point that if I had passed, it would have been some type of release for me, because I just had really nothing in my mind to live for anymore. So shortly after crying out to him, I was involved in a car accident and spent about 4 days in the hospital. My family surrounded me, and at that point I just was like, I have to get sober. Although, it's easier said than done. So eventually I went back out on the streets and just kind of ran for my problems, and eventually got another charge, and then was sent away for about 25 months due to those felonies and misdemeanors that I had obtained.
Okay, so when you said sent away, could you define that?
Going to jail and sitting there and detoxing was really rough. My dad sitting there looking at me through a computer screen, and I couldn't have a conversation with him because I was puking. And so when
Did you think you might die during that time?
I mean, I felt like I was going to. In my mind, I was like, how am I going to get out of here? But it was the best thing for me. And then, I went before a judge, and, basically, by that time I had started to read a little bit about the Bible and the Word, and just kind of, I guess gave it to him, gave it all to Jesus. And he seen it fit that I would go and do about 25 months in Marysville. So the charge was aggravated vehicular assault, which is a felony of the 2nd degree. So I was mandatory prison time. So, very scary time to think about, 25 months away. But then,
and you'd already served.
Yeah, I had served some time in county. So my total sentence was 25 months. So between county and prison time.
Okay.
So a very scary time, but in hindsight, it was the best in the first 2 years of the rest of my life. God really worked with me. Just kind of sat me down, just spoke to me. He put people in my path.
Okay, you said that he spoke to you. Is that through the people that you met while you were there?
Yeah, I feel like along the way, like there were little seeds that were always planted. Like in hindsight, when I look back at my journey, I look at people that had always planted seeds, had always spoke words into me, and then during that 25 months, it was really able to like blossom, and I was really able to open up my ear gates, my eye gates, my heart and everything to Jesus during that time, and I just felt peace.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So even when you're not listening, when someone's speaking to you, your spirit can still be listening, and God will bank that for another time when you'll be able to handle it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
He would show me times like, hey, remember I tried to pull you this way and you went another way, or I remember a time I tried to like kind of get you back on the right path towards me, and you went this way. So I could see like along the journey of where God was like pulling me and trying to order my steps for me and call me back to the cross, where I first met him when I was a little girl, but I just kind of kept deterring away from him. So the time in prison was really just building that relationship with him, rebuilding my relationship with my family, just becoming like healthy physically, emotionally, spiritually.
So who were those people that you met in prison?
One girl, her name is Heather. She's actually still in Marysville. She's serving a pretty lengthy stint of time, but she ended up being my bunkie, and she really just every day she got up, she opened her Bible, she got in her devotionals, and she really just spoke the word over me and just prayed for me all the time. And so her and I would be able to like just talk about the Lord and our relationship, and she was really able to like instill things in me, and it just kind of like grew and blossomed to where I ended up teaching Bible studies in prison myself.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. Something you said really jumped out at me. It said that she spoke over you. That may sound weird, at first, but can you really illustrate that? What did she do to speak over you?
I think a lot of times when we're in a sin, in the world, and addiction, we speak negativity over ourselves. We allow society to speak negativity over ourselves. We allow ourselves to kind of feel that. So she just spoke life. She just spoke God's word, and she spoke God's love, and I just kind of just really felt that. I was emotional just talking about it.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So God gave you really an angel as a bunkie. Wow, that's amazing.
And I ended up also meeting a pastor, Pastor Leanne Miller, who
I've heard of her.
Yeah, who later on became the next step of my journey as well, getting out. So once I was released, I was scared of going back to old behaviors. So I decided to go to a faith-based women's sober living for 11 months.
Okay, what was that again? A faith-based?
Women's sober living.
So sober living,
Women's of excellence. So
wow.
Yeah. So she played an instrumental part in prison, and then coming out of prison, I wanted to definitely like follow the steps that God had led me, and I felt like I need to continue my journey with him.
That's amazing. Faith-based things, for me, they connect the dots. They help you realize your past, your present, and your future. Wow, that's amazing. So what was it called again?
Women of Excellence.
Women of Excellence. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going. I'm sorry.
So during that time in the program, she was able to get me a job about 2 weeks out. That job was able to blossom into something else for me in a career path that I never thought I would be able to have with a felony.
You had said that it's really hard to find a job once you had a felony. And can you describe that for our listeners?
Yeah, I think a lot of times we think like they won't hire me because I have a past, they won't hire me because I have a felony. You think you're just kind of an outcast, but Jesus tells us that we're not an outcast.
That's right.
We're overcomers. One of my favorite scriptures is Philippians 4:13, which means I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And he definitely has showed me that there's no boundaries with him in our lives at all.
Lisa, tell us again about the camp experience.
So after the women's conference that we had with Pastor and Women of Excellence, my sister and I I wouldn't get to see her that much because we would have to have like visits and passes. So we decided to go back to Marmon Valley, where it all kind of began with her and I. And we took a horseback ride up the hill, and we were able to circle around and to see this cross. And it was such a pivotal moment for her and I to share together, to see, you know, where I first accepted Jesus in my heart, to see where he had shown me the kind of epiphany of how far he had brought me through addiction, and then, you know, having him back in my life was such a big moment to just see this cross on this hill where it all kind of began, and just reminded me that no matter how far we go, we can always come back to the cross, that he's always just waiting there for us with open arms.
That's good.
Just waiting for us just to lay it all down. Just lay it all down at his feet, and just, you know, he just will consume you.
Oh, that's really good. You know, her's talking about things that need to be laid down. You know, in Newark and in Columbus, there's what's known as backpack population. And folks are walking around carrying everything they own on their back. But you know, you saying that, there's much more significance in that. Some folks are carrying stuff from their childhood. Some folks are carrying stuff right now that they can't break, whether it's addiction, or maybe they feel like they have to be in prostitution in order to get food or a place to stay, or to get your dope, you know. But either way, it's a heavy burden. Some people carry those weights around their whole lives, long after they ditch the backpack. What Lisa said is very significant and very important. Okay, when you come to Jesus, you can lay it down. He won't go, oh man, that's too much for me. No, he's like, you're too much. He will never say that to you. He loves you. He died for you. That's the significance of the cross.
God just showed me a revelation, and he showed me the revelation of me as an innocent child in front of this cross, accepting Jesus into my heart. And then he showed me again an addiction, and I just was so oppressed, just within sin, and, you know, just kind of felt trapped. And he then showed me just being released. And it was just such a pivotal moment of just this release, that we can always come back to the cross no matter how far we go. He's always calling us back. He'll always accept us with open arms. And it just was nice to see that progression of being a little girl, being in addiction, and now being, you know, a child of God.
You know, God is so good. So what about you? What about you? You look at Lisa's life and you may say, well, yeah, but. Guess what? No buts. The same Jesus that is with Lisa wants to be with you. Wants to be with you. You may think, oh man, I got a felony, I'm using. Well, guess what? There's hope for you too. Lisa, what did you have to do to get that hope in your life?
I just think just continue to pray. I mean, it's not always easy walking with the Lord, but he definitely will, you know, always open those doors for you that need to be opened. He'll close those doors that need to be closed. Just keeping that faith, because there are so many times I'm like, I'm not going to get past this. I'm not going to get a better job. I'm not going to be able to school. But Jesus has just really just shown the way for me. He's gave me a great career path, a job that pays for me to go to school. I remember at the time of applying for this job that I really wanted, and I just was like, there's no way with my background. And the legal team sat there with that background for weeks and weeks, and they ended up finding a loophole because they knew that the work I had put in for this job. They knew the people could speak highly about me, so they were able to look past what was on a piece of paper, and Jesus was really able to glorify what he's done in my life.
That's right. That's amazing. And you know what? Lisa's story is not the only story I've heard where God made a way when there seemed to be no way. And I know that may sound old or cliche, but it's real talk. I mean, really, because God has a future and hope for you, no matter where you are. You may have relapsed 20 times. You know what? Don't give up. He's there for you. Call out to him. Okay, you can do that right now, right where you are. I mean, you may be watching us on your phone. You may be, sitting at home, maybe on the computer or something. I don't know. But the deal is that God is waiting for you. His Son, Jesus Christ, purchased your salvation through His blood. And so all you got to do is say, Jesus, man, I'm a sinner. I have blown it. I have not been following with you, man. I haven't been tracking with you. Please forgive me. I believe in you. I believe that you died for my sins and that God raised you from the dead. And then the next thing all you got to do is tell somebody. Call us. Call us at Champions. You know, we could hook you up with Lisa. I'd be happy to talk with you. Chris Gargas is available. Jeremy's available. Hey, we're all here just for you, okay? Now, that brings us to that phone number at the bottom of the screen. Call us. People are feeling all whacked out right now because of isolation. They're feeling lonely. They're feeling like they want to die. People are doing things they normally wouldn't do right now. Call us. Call us. We're here for you. Lisa, did you have anything else you wanted to say? You did a fantastic job. Thank you so much. Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for listening to Lisa's story. And you know what? Call us. All right. Well, thank you, and you have a wonderful night.